We recognize the polished, billionaire brand, the museum of trophies, the highly calibrated physique, and the global icon. But this modern empire obscures the fragile reality of his beginning. In 1984, the Avero household in the steep hillside slums of Funchal faced extreme socioeconomic precarity. Maria Dolores dos Santos Avero worked as a cook and cleaner, already exhausted by the demands of supporting 3 children. Her husband, José Denis Avero, had returned from the Portuguese colonial wars in Angola, deeply traumatized. He struggled with lifelong alcoholism and unemployment, leaving the family in a state of financial destitution. Dolores attempted to terminate her 4th pregnancy after a local physician refused to perform a medical procedure. She resorted to folk methods, drinking warm beer and running until she reached absolute physical collapse in a desperate attempt to induce a miscarriage. He began his life as a statistical anomaly, his very birth a defiance of the social and biological forces that nearly prevented it. At the amateur club and arena, the young winger was defined by raw emotional instability. Teammates called him Abelha, Little B, for his hyperactive speed, but they also nicknamed him Crybaby because he frequently descended into temper tantrums and tears whenever his teammates missed a pass. At age 12, he moved 500 miles away to join the Sporting CP Academy in Lisbon. Isolated from his family, he cried daily while enduring severe bullying from peers who mocked his regional Madeiran accent and rural background. The pressure eventually fractured his volatile temper. At age 14, a teacher mocked his family's poverty and ridiculed his accent. In a fit of rage, he picked up a heavy wooden chair and hurled it directly at the instructor. The school expelled him immediately. With the schoolhouse door locked, his mother and tutors poured all remaining focus into his development at Sporting CP. Success on the pitch became his only viable path out of poverty. Redirecting the volatility that led to his expulsion, he adopted the advice his father gave him to handle the bullies. Let them laugh, let your feet answer. This channeled his survivalist rage into a pathological obsession with technical perfection, transforming his childhood tantrums into a ruthless, disciplined drive to win every drill and every match. While progressing through the Sporting Lisbon Academy, his physical development faced a catastrophic threat. At age 15, club doctors discovered a medical crisis that could have triggered a fatal cardiac event on the pitch. He was diagnosed with tachycardia, a condition that caused his resting heart rate to accelerate uncontrollably. It carried a severe risk of sudden cardiac arrest under the extreme physical strain of professional competition. The electrical pathways in his heart were misfiring. Without a specialized intervention, the very organ required for his survival as a footballer made elite performance lethal. Surgeons performed a catheter ablation, threading a catheter through his blood vessels to his heart. Using a precise laser, they worked to cauterize and destroy the anomalous tissue causing the irregular electrical signals. The surgery stabilized his heart rate, allowing him to return to training within days. His legendary physical engine was quite literally re-engineered by a laser before he reached adulthood. Surviving a medical crisis was only the first step. His transition into the global elite required a fragile sequence of executive decisions and narrow escapes during the early transfer windows. In 2002, Juventus finalized a deal to sign him. The transfer collapsed only because Chilean striker Marcelo Salas refused to move to Portugal as a part of the trade. Olympique Lyon also had the opportunity to secure him through a proposed youth swap deal. The French club evaluated the teenager and flatly rejected the offer. Everton similarly passed on the teenage prospect. They chose instead to sign 35-year-old David Ginola. Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger came even closer, bringing the teenager to their stadium and nearly finalizing a contract, before Manchester United aggressively intervened with a £12 million offer. Wenger met with the boy directly at the stadium, an encounter that would later become the manager's greatest historical regret. His career survived a gauntlet of fragile multi-million-dollar egos and short-sighted boardroom rejections that almost buried his talent in obscurity. Arriving at Old Trafford in 2003, he entered a ruthless locker room culture that was completely intolerant of his flashy, individualistic playing style. He faced an immediate training ground feud with star striker Ruud van Nistelrooy. This power struggle eventually reached a breaking point, resulting in the Dutchman's exit from the club. Sir Alex Ferguson systematically targeted the teenager's psychology, intentionally reducing him to tears in front of the team to break his ego. This unforgiving environment stripped away the last remnants of the crybaby. The intense pressure of the United locker room forged the elite mental toughness required to sustain his ascent. For years, a viral legend has dominated the internet, claiming a childhood friend named Albert Fantrau intentionally passed up a goal to give Ronaldo a spot in an elite academy. The Fantrau story is a complete fabrication. There is zero historical record of such an individual in the youth ranks of Nacional or Sporting CP. The verified reality is far more compelling. In 2014, a 10-month-old infant named Eric Ortiz Cruz was suffering from a brain disorder that triggered 30 violent seizures every day. When the mother asked Ronaldo to donate a shirt for a charity auction to help cover the medical costs, he quietly bypassed the auction and paid the entire cost of the brain surgery himself. He saw an infant trapped by a physiological misfire, whose family lacked the resources to intervene. The parallel to his own laser heart surgery at age 15 dictated his response. We see the billions, the trophies, and the arrogance. But the foundation of that icon is a boy who survived an abortion attempt, a critical heart procedure, and the rejection of Europe's elite. Behind the billion-dollar brand lies a history built on a fragile chain of survivals. We see the finished masterpiece, but the true story of Cristiano Ronaldo is a sequence of narrow escapes from total erasure.